really big fan, and he just pretty much made like Star Trek: The Next Generation 2. He just
Mhm.
made his own. It's like it's you can very easily tell this like heavily based on Star Trek: The Next Generation, especially.
Mhm.
But it just scratches that itch for Star Trek because there just hasn't been a good Star Trek series.
Yeah.
And it has that same kind of tone where it just doesn't, especially in the first two series, it just really doesn't take itself seriously, especially in the beginning. But then it gradually kind of builds up seriousness. And since like getting another season or whatever on like Hulu, it's like a Hulu original now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they set up a bunch of cool things in the first two seasons, but you could tell it's pretty like low budget, and then they just like boosted up the budget for like the Orville Horizons
Mhm.
um, by like a bunch, and you can tell like immediately that like the budget had increased, at least doubled, if not tripled, because everything just looks so much more detailed and curious.
Mhm.
Like it feels like like if you've ever seen like watching Star Trek: The Next Generation and then watching one of the Star Trek movies, it feels like that.
Yeah.
But it's like a whole season. And the episodes in the new season as the Hulu original are like an hour and a half long each.
Oh,
I'm just like, oh, spicy.
that is spicy.
So they got a bunch of like budget in there out of nowhere. And you know, it I I honestly just really like it. It just feels like somebody who really grew up and really likes Star Trek was like, "Hey, I have the reputation and ability to pitch a new Star Trek." And then they just made Star Trek: The Next Generation, but they just took similar concepts and just did them a different way and really explored it in different ways. Like one of the main examples is you know Lieutenant Commander Data.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Data. He's great. So there's pretty much a Data on board, but where Data was just like, I'm a benevolent android designed by humans. I'm a good boy. TM. The the kind of like Data equivalent in the series is like, hi, I'm from a planet of artificial life forms, and I'm sent here as a cultural ambassador to see what biological organisms are like. It's like, aren't your people super racist? Do you mean that we are superior to all organic beings? Then yes. And he's just like, it's just kind of like a shift from like Data being like lawful good or like neutral good. We're just like Isaac, which is a kind of android being, is just kind of like almost like true neutral, maybe a little bit more evil, but he's just no, he's just like true neutral. He's like, I'm superior to you all. I'm not stating that to be mean. I don't feel anything. It is a statement.
Just is a fact.
I based on available data. Based on available data, I am superior to you in intelligence.
All
But
right. Interesting.
they don't, and they don't play it off as them just like it's just a really cool take on that, and there's just a lot of interesting takes. It's just really like, I just think it's cool. it's There's a lot more drinking in the show, but honestly, it's fine.
I personally picked up the Dragon Prince.
Yeah.
Oh no. Um.
I don't want you to take that to be like I'm a protective super fan of it. I think it has several issues,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it overall.
my take, I finished the first season. I'm into the second season. Um, I'm playing awfully right now. That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm no longer in a race. It's okay.
Yeah, chill out.
But I don't know. I just find it aggressively mediocre. Um,
Yeah.
Cause like, okay, the characters and their characterizations, like the who they are and how they like tick. That all comes through very strong in the show. Like Soren and his sister and Callum and what's his face, the other prince, and like they all have well
Ezrin.
defined Ezrin. They all have well defined and enjoyable characters that I'd love watching interact and all that stuff. The actual writing itself is not good. It's not. And the animation is just kind of janky a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I enjoy watching this show, and I enjoy watching these characters interact with one another, and I am not in this for the plot at all. I do not care about this dragon egg. I don't give a damn.
I don't give a damn.
The best example I can think of is like the episode where they were on their way to the miracle healer, right, in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And then just randomly at the end of the episode, Ezrin is just like, there is no miracle healer, and the episode just ends. And it's like, what? Are you hello? You can't just do that. No.
There is no magic in the world. Bye.
I just yeah. I I'm still watching the show, which is good. Like, I'm not bored of it, but also like Soren and his sister just show up and now we're having like a dating scene? Like what? Hello? What is happening
Okay,
with
so
this show? I don't understand.
to be fair, the part you're on at that point it's still a pretty directionless.
I can tell.
It I can't promise anything.
I can't really expect anything at this point. Let's be real.
I don't recall it getting any more directionless.
Okay. I guess I can take that.
I think stuff will happen. I trust you probably knew that already.
I believe that.
It's just at the part you're at, it's about to something's gonna happen. I'm sure you could find, so just yeah.
Yeah. No,
I don't know. Those are valid things to point out.
Yeah. So it's like,
But yeah.
it's a decently entertaining show, and I'll keep watching it, but also, like, it's just so aggressively mediocre.
Yeah, the plot does kind of seem like it's like all over the place, but my favorite parts are a lot of the characters.
Yeah, the characters are really good.
I love Soren and Claudia's character arcs.
Yeah, they're both really entertaining characters, and I'm interested in seeing where they go. But at the same time, like, just the plot surrounding them right now is really clumsy.
Especially as a role as kind of like as villains
Yeah,
paired with their father.
they don't work as villains. Because the show's not treating them as villains either. Like, they show up and encounter the main cast and do nothing. It's like, okay, sure.
But then they have their dad, Evil Vizier. Jafar ass.
That is another case where I'm like, what? Because, like, he started out as a compelling and interesting character, and then the king takes a dramatic character flip, and that causes a dramatic character flip for the Vizier, and I'm just like, okay, what? Hello, what is happening?
I you will get more context for that, but
I'm sure. But at the same
yeah.
time, like,
I just feel like from
their
what I'm
ex
recalling, sorry, go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt, but the execution overall of whatever cool ideas are floating around in the writers' heads, it's just not being done very well.
Yeah. No, it's just hmm. Especially where what you've seen where you are right now, it's just like things are just people are going places, they're doing things for reasons,
Yep.
and it just doesn't feel very coherent. But I they will pick up.
You have not existed anymore. Hello? Spencer? Are you deceased? I think you have been deceased. Hello?
Hello.
What?
Hey.
Hey.
I walked away from my too far.
Ah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It things will happen and you know, they'll be like, "Hey, you know, they'll eventually pick up a like we've just been like having characters talk to each other. Where's the what we've been
Plot?
missing something plot?
Hello?
Have
Plot?
you heard of this?" And they're like, "Oh, shoo. Yeah, let's do that."
It feels a little weird, because, like, I'm pretty sure some of the people involved in Avatar The Last Airbender were involved in this, right?
Yes.
So it feels weird to compare and contrast to Avatar The Last Airbender, which had such a tight and cohesive plot line. Like, what? Hello?
I yeah, I feel like they tried to do the same thing with having the kind of like we we must deliver the Dragon Prince and end the war between elves slash dragons and humans. But then you're just like, I don't think it does. I don't think it like sets up enough of the conflict and why what they're doing kind of matters until later. And you're just kind of left, at least from like the beginnings of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You're like, yeah, Fire Nation bad. We gotta stop this.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just kind of like you haven't really up to this point at all seen the only elves you've seen are the ones who tried to assassinate the king, and you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure, that's bad, but like it's not really, it does not exemplify like this kind of cold war kind of like or war at all between elves and humans. It's kind of like, and especially from the beginning, like intros, it's kind of like humans and elves live on different sides of the continent, and you're like, okay, is that a problem?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a big issue. It seems to be like the status quo.
And they keep, like, hinting at, like, some political drama. They're like, ooh, maybe the other five kingdoms are gonna get involved, and then it's like, I don't know who these other five kingdoms are. Are we talking
Oh,
about elves here? Like, you need to
oh,
do a
don't
little bit
worry.
more work with this before you start hinting at it.
You
Because if,
won't meet them and for at least another season.
oh, good.
And when you do, it won't be very much.
It feels like they're thinking about doing political intrigue, and I'm not sure this is the show for it.
They they the best I can describe it is they dabble in political intrigue, but then you're just like, but why? What has this accomplished? Oh shoot, we have to have more political players if we're gonna do a political intrigue thing. We only have one political player, and it is, well, there's two really. The Vizier and everybody else.
What is her face? Callum's aunt, I think.
Um, yeah, General
Shield Bash.
Amaya.
Yeah, she's
Shield.
kind of a political player. She left
She
her incompetent interpreter behind.
here,
So
interpreter, my right hand man, who is also one of my main methods of communication with the people I lead because they're not very well versed in sign language. You stay here with no extra like military support, which as a general is my kind of like purview. You by yourself stay in the capital and tell the Vizier, who's had years to not only gather power and supporters, also has magic. You make sure the princes come back safely.
yeah, I honestly that moment right there kind of sums up the show for me because she is like such a cool character with one of the best character introductions that you can have, and then she just does this profoundly stupid thing. It's
Especially
like,
like
are you serious?
especially since you're like suspicious enough of the Grand Vizier, Viren, to make sure make sure he doesn't pull any shenanigans, but then just doesn't back that up sufficiently.
Yeah.
He just immediately is like, oh, in the dungeon with you. Like, oh.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, this show is
I think
something, technically.
I think the best you can do is just kind of like make it so that you have to kind of have it in the frame of mind where people just like, because from what we've seen, Viren's been like a good guy. I guess you haven't seen a lot of that, but he's been like a good, consistent guy, and you even commented on his kind of like weird, kind of like last minute just character change. So I think you have to like, if you kind of approach it in the frame of mind like he's a good guy and people are just beginning to be suspicious, he kind of has a lot more leeway to just kind of like people kind of underestimate how much he's kind of like turned, so to speak, or what he's capable of doing.
I would
Because he's
understand
been
that.
like,
I would understand that for any other character, but her character was very specifically like, he will betray you.
yeah.
It'll take some time, but he will betray you, and then he immediately betrays her.
So like whatever way you approach it, like the response and the action just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Because if you approach it from like Viren's been a pretty good guy this whole time, her suspicion of him seems like unwarranted. But if you approach it where like Viren's always been a shifty guy, then her degree of action to prevent his betrayal was too little.
Yeah, it, but her character's awesome. Like, she's
Her
such a
character is
fun
awesome.
character to watch, and I love having, that kind of representation, and that's the... more of this, please, in media. And, like, I don't know, she's just a badass, too. Like, I don't know.
She is so cool.
Great character. Can she make sensical decisions, please?
Most of the time, yes. In that case, for whatever reason, no.
Just like, what?
I want you to stand here and make sure he doesn't leave. I don't know. It's
The show is
strange.
so weird. It's such a wild ride to watch.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
oh, not Callum, Soren and Claudia are coming and they've sent this ominous purple beam. What's gonna happen when they show up? Pancakes.
I feel like I actually really like that because, like, you know, especially with like how Viren is like saying two things to the different children, and Claudia is kind of like nature. She's under the impression like, oh, we're just there to get the princes and bring them back. But then Thorn's like, oh, I have to arrange an accident, which
I
I feel like, I don't know.
So I don't dislike this kind of story, and I don't dislike the heel turn. What I have problems with is that the first season is like they are the villains, and they are the Act 3 culmination leading into the first act of season 2 was they're going to show up and like do things, and the first couple, 2 episodes of season 2 are they're coming, and then they show up, and now we're dating apparently, and it's like this payoff. I don't know. There needs to be like more sinister undertones or something. Like the writing just isn't like rising to its own challenge. If that makes any sense. Um,
Yeah, it kind
it's
of like
not.
is really like set up with
Yeah.
like, the colors are like, what's that coming from the other mountaintop? It's like someone's coming, and it's like, hey, it's your childhood friends Claudia and Sword. We're here to say hi. Are you guys okay? Here, let's make you some pancakes.
And
And
it's
you're
just,
like,
yeah.
huh?
It doesn't. There are no stakes. I think that's my real problem here. Is that anytime the show starts to establish stakes, it immediately sweeps the leg.
I have I have an issue with there's like this continuous theme in kind of like, primal magic versus quote unquote dark magic. And I'm just like, you're really trying to convince me that dark magic is bad, but I have a I kind of have a hard time really sympathizing or agreeing with that point, because it's like they've established like if you want to do magic as a human, you gotta do the dark magic, and that's wrong for some reason. And I'm just like, I'm like, oh, you gotta like take the magic away from some magical plant or creature. It's like, I don't, I don't see how that's inherently evil in and of itself. It's simply like, we harvest plants to eat them. We kill things to sustain ourselves. Why not use creatures and plants to achieve things that we need to do? And also, they're just like the elves and dragons are just super gatekeeping magic. It's like, yeah, we're tied to the natural world of magic, and we can just kind of use it. But you guys, you humans, no, you can't. And it's like, oh, we made our own magic. No, that's wrong. That's a perversion of nature. You're evil. Screw you. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you want from us?
Yeah, definitely. Like this is kind of a chronic issue with the show. I think actually, where it has these world building concepts that it hints at, and it doesn't ever actually seem interested in delving into in meaningful ways. Instead, it wants to spend time doing a mountain journey to a spirit healer that's not a spirit healer, and I'm confused. Like, that just felt like this entire plot arc feels like a huge waste of time. I don't know why we're doing this.
Could egg don't feel good.
Egg don't feel good because of an arbitrary avalanche that put it in a lake.
What avalanche have you met that isn't arbitrary?
Well, it's just like Oh, she got attacked. So then she led them up a mountain, I guess, and never told them that she got attacked, by the way. Also, that character, what the heck happened to him? And then the egg was in a perilous situation on a lake after an avalanche. And all of this happened because the dog burped.
Yeah. I, I forgot.
This whole series of events is because the turtle drank too much moonberry juice. What?
I
Hello?
I I okay. I somehow have problems with bait.
I don't hate bait. I hate bait as a plot device. What?
He's just like, it's just oftentimes it's just used as this like, we need some way where our characters would get into trouble. All right, let's have bait burp. Let's have bait eat all the food because he's a bastard. And they're just like, oh bait, oh you ate all our food and now we're gonna starve to death.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's not that like I can't even like hate bait for being an annoying character. It's just they're using him as plot devices when they can't come up with something interesting.
What really annoyed me for a long time, and it still kind of does, is just the out of nowhere, just kind of Ezran like, yeah, I can talk to animals and fully understand them and communicate with them, and they are inherently friendly and do what I want them to do. I'm just like, excuse me?
Yep, that
You have a system of magic, and they're just like, is it magical? No. Do you know why? No. That's not satisfactory. Do you want to world build any more about this? No. It's just something he can do.
Ezran's just special for some reason.
He's special for some reason.
Yeah, no, the writing of the show is not good. But the characters are great, and like the voice actors are killing it.
Yeah.
And like,
So
I'm enjoying that, so I'll keep watching. But like, can the writers uh, figure out how to write a show?
I just really I have a lot of complaints about Ezran. He's probably one of my least favorite characters.
He doesn't have a personality.
That's exactly it. He's supposed to be this like he's supposed to be a child character and he's supposed to be one of the main characters. So it's like, oh, he's going to have a lot of dialogue. We better take some time and really figure out his character, but they just make him into kind of like the moral compass slash wise old man type character where he's just kind of like, I'm 8 years old, but I'm the most emotionally mature, well-heeled, nothing's really going to get to me, and I always do the morally right thing and remind people that's what we should do, and also have the superpower of talking with animals.
When Ezran speaks, he is correct. Why?
He's always correct.
No one knows.
And I'm just super annoyed with that because I'm like, at least with Callum and every other character, they feel more human. He feels like a robot. I don't want to throw around the word like Mary Sue because he's not quite that bad, but it's kind of like
he's not significant enough to be a Mary Sue. But like, again, he's a plot device, and it's pretty clear that he's a plot device.
Like there's supposed to be, a major kind of. He's supposed to have a very significant and close relationship with his brother, but
we don't see that.
We don't see that, and any interactions between them, we see like Callum being like very like heartfelt and like, having these complex emotions and thoughts, and the engine's like, okay, not even like okay, like an absent-minded kid. He's like, Callum, I understand your feelings and I accept them. Do you have any emotions about your father dying and me lying to you or whatever? No, it's
No,
fine.
things happen.
Things happen. Excuse me? Let me just talk to some animals about it.
The animals are my therapists.
Because, like, I feel like, you know, if you compare Ezrin to, say, like, Aang, who's also supposed to be kind of like a wiser, childlike character, Aang has a very emotional, complex, traumatic interactions with characters, and he does the whole non-violent route, and it's difficult, and a lot of people say it's the wrong thing to do, and he just has a lot of struggles, and he has to confront them, and he makes a lot of mistakes. But Ezrin's just kind of like always right.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Um,
Yeah, whereas like similarly when Aang would like, oh, we got to a new village, and like a great episode in like the first season is like, oh, these people are selling the avatar. I'll tell them that my avatar gonna go with peace, and then they're just like, no, we hate the avatar. You're imprisoned. It's a trial, and then even though he does like, okay, we'll just prove that we'll get Avatar Kyoshi, will be fine, and she's like, I did it, and I do it again. Peace.
it was such
And
a
he's like,
good episode, not just from like a characterization standpoint, but also from a world building standpoint. They did both in
they
one
did great.
episode.
Especially since we got to revisit Kyoshi Island, and they're like, you're like, we love the Avatar. Kyoshi's great. We love you, Aang. Thanks for saving us, even though you kind of brought the Fire Nation with you when you came here. But whatever, Fire Nation's their dicks. And then there's This is just a lot of great episodes, but like, I also like the one where he's like, he had to try to like, there was the two tribes. I think the episode's called The Great Divide. They had to get through the canyon, and there's these two tribes,
Oh yeah.
and they're just like, we have a feud with each other and we hate each other, and he's like trying his best. It's like, can't you guys just get along? And they're like, no. And then he just ends up lying to them in the end, being like, oh, your story was about children playing a game, and they're like, oh, that's silly, let's be friends. And they're like, wow, Aang, you knew all that? And he's like, I kinda made it up. So he had to like, he tried his usual approach of being like, hey, let's all be peaceful, get along, airbender, whatever. Wasn't working, so he's like, what if I lied? Or like, to kind of like make it is like he had to find a different solution while still trying to maintain the path of like not letting it get out of hand and his responsibilities as Avatar. Whereas I feel like Ezrin doesn't really have a lot of responsibilities, or he doesn't really feel that, and if he does, it doesn't really show it.
Which is
And
dumb because he's the crown prince and the king is dead. Hello?
hello, and he just kind of like he just gets to solve problems, and he just is right. And even if he's wrong, he's just right again immediately without having to like suffer any consequences.
Yep.
And everyone just like pats him on the head like, good, Ezrin, you're a good boy. Like, that's no.
I was also like, okay. Whoops. This is such a minor complaint that it's like barely even a complaint, but the moon band throughout season 1, like the binding thing.
Oh, yeah.
I hated that.
I didn't like it either, if I'm being honest.
Because again, like, it represented such a cool opportunity to delve into like world building and expanding on the culture and rituals of the moon elves. And how is it resolved? Dragon plot device. Just can fix it. You have a moon elf at the moon nexus standing right there.
I I I know. It really frustrated me too. I'm just like, are they gonna have like a thing? Because it's like I feel kind of like an outcast from my people. You're kind of a hermit living away from the people, but we have this shared kind of like heritage. Are we gonna talk about that? No. In
No,
fact, I'll have little shared dialogue with you. It's gonna be of like no significance.
this dragon that can't even fly is apparently just gonna fix all of our problems because it's a plot device.
I do
Why?
get the kind of like spirit of that because they're just like some sort of notion of we had sworn to avenge you, but you weren't dead, so he kind of
I
like.
I get the
But
intent.
I don't think they did conveyed that or did that well or explained how the moon bracelets work because they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
They're just like put on these bracelets, they'll fall off when they die, and then that's it.
Again, like, regardless of how they go about resolving that scenario, like, it's just a missed opportunity. Like, if you want to have the dragon resolve the problem, then you need to do more explanation as to what the problem is in the first place. You have to talk
Even
about it at all.
even if it's like some like basic line, it's like, oh, this bond can only be broken by killing your target or by having
A resolution of your vows, or something along those lines.
yeah, like make it a bit more cryptic, just
Yeah.
like this bond will not break until the deeds of which have been vowed have been resolved. And so you could play around with the wording. It's like, we must kill him to avenge the death of the Dragon Prince. And then when he's born, it's like, damn, he's not dead, so we can't avenge someone who isn't dead.
Right. It's
Because it
just,
was like, it felt very much like, we'll kill the king to avenge the death of the big dragon, and then we'll kill the princes to avenge the Dragon Prince. And then the Dragon Prince can break that, because, like, you can't avenge me, I'm not dead. But they
but
didn't do that.
yeah, and if you're not going to do that, that's fine, but you should at least, like, explore the concept with the priestess right there.
Hey, I'm a master of the magic that makes that bracelet work, and to kind of like have a bunch of knowledge of our people's magical practice and stuff. Anyway, do you want to eat these maggots? I'll pretend it's a cake.
Just, it's just, why?
Why? No wonder you're outcast to the human lands to live alone on a mountain. You suck.
You. Uh,
You suck and nobody likes you.
but it's a fun show, though.
Yeah.
Soren being
Your
like,
Phoenix is cool.
yeah, it's yeah. There's positive moments in the show. Like, shows Soren is like, I can't do this morally, so I'm gonna make a zipline that'll do it for me. It's like, okay, dude.
I'm like, I guess.
Like, that does not absolve you of the moral implications, but I can see why you would think that.
I suppose because he's like he's a simpler character, and like there is a degree of separation, but it's still you making the zipline intentionally bad to try to kill them.
Like, this is. I enjoy that. That's good.
That's fun.
I, it's so kind of ridiculous and stupid that it tracks. I understand. And the what the rest of the show's writing is just like, I don't understand what is happening. What
Yeah.
happened in this writer's room?
Oh, just strap in. Stuff's gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, what? Why?
Doing a run right now, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm very close to being done.
Well, we will sit here and give you moral support and cheer you on.
Good.
Hello.
Woo, woo, hi.
Hello?
Woo.
Woo!
Hello.
Stay in the light, Fred. It is your only protection. So, Uh,
Oh, wow.
it's so bad. So Joshua and I were playing Celasta Crown of the Magister, which is a trip. And so we were on this mission where basically we snuck into this necromancer's castle, and then one of their assistants or whatever is like talking with us, like, "Why are you here?" And we successfully lied to them. It's like, "We have to see your master," and they're like, "Oh, okay." And then out of nowhere, we're in this dialogue where she is convinced that we are here serving her master,
Yeah,
and
and
then
she's
out
telling
of
us
nowhere.
like, oh yeah, you can't go directly up to meet him, but like you can send the message along. There's other people in the way. You'll have to talk to them. And then just out of nowhere, one of our characters. Take it away, Spence.
One of the characters just like in the middle of this conversation just blurts out, "Stay in the light, friends! It is our only protection!" And nobody reacts to it, and they just continue on. Just like, what the hell are you on?
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm like, why? It's it's like you're just in this necromancer's cult, and you're just out of nowhere just blurt out like, "There's darkness around us. Steel yourself in the light." And everyone's just like, "What?"
Oh, ignore him. He's a crazy dude.
Ignore him. He's insane. And then that was that. Also, we had this scene where one of the characters collapsed. They're wearing this magic crown, made them pass out. And so that character was Goblin. And
That
so
can
then
happen? Just,
Oh.
Kyle got smashed in his speedrun.
Yeah, that can happen.
It's
Anyway.
rare, but it can.
Goblin has the crown. They pass out. Fade to black. New cutscene. For Joshua, Goblin is waking up from passing out in a bed, and everyone's like, "Are you okay?" For me, a different character is waking up in the bed, and then Goblin is telling them, "Hey, you passed out." So I'm like, what? The game is janky.
Interesting.
It's fantastic.
I just got a PB.
Yo!
Yo,
Let's
what's the time?
go!
It's a 4151.
Oh, hell yeah.
So yeah, just remove the race environment, and I'm good at the game.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome.
Oh, the race. So exciting.
Well, after you wrap up with that, David has a